Hey, today I'm talking about 3 very recent video game film adaptations. And the names of those 3 films are Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, Uncharted, and Monster Hunter. First up is Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. This is the newest live-action Resident Evil film. It is completely unconnected to the other live-action films and is basically just a remake of the first 2 games combined into one film. So the basic premise is the premise of the first 2 games. And it's pretty dang solid. Like, they came in this from a place of love. I watched this on Blu-ray and I looked at some of the bonus features, and they used cinematics from the games to storyboard. They had a bunch of shot-by-shot comparisons. They put in a lot of effort to make it look like the game, and I think they did a great job there. I think they really nailed the characters. This is the first time that I like Leon in a film, which is great. Claire's always great to see, and I'm just always happy to see her. I really like the entire cast. I've actually seen all of the main cast and things, which I was so surprised by. Like, I've seen Leon in a short film I watched last year, which that kind of blew my mind. And I like all the actors too. This is also one of the first times I really like Jill. I think Jill works really well here, played by Hannah something last name. She was Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I really liked her performance there, and I think she also does a good job here of being a hard ass. The action was solid, the effects were good. They even, like, to go back to the game accuracy, they even got the blueprints for the police station from Capcom. So like the layout of the police station and the layout of the mansion, I believe too, are legitimately accurate to the game. I really loved that they finally went back into the horror element, because even the CGI ones are more actiony. They do kind of have some horror stuff, but it's not really scary horror, it's just kind of stuff. It's nothing that ever got me, but this one got me. This one had really good spooky scary fun times. So yeah, it's honestly a pretty good film. It's not perfect, it wasn't a really liked, but it's definitely worth a watch. I would probably extra recommend it if you like the video games, because I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised, especially by how accurate it is compared to the Mila Jovovich ones, which are not even remotely accurate. But even if you're not familiar with the games at all, I think it's still worth a watch. I don't understand why it got such a terrible critic rating. It's a good film. So yes, good shit, worth a watch. Next up is Uncharted. This is a 2022 film starring Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. I didn't watch it last year because I'm like, I just don't care. I never really played any of the games. Plus it just looks like Tom Holland's basically being Peter Parker again, and Mark Wahlberg is not a great person in general, but it doesn't look like he's even doing anything here. He's just kind of being himself. And after watching the film, my thoughts about it were correct. Tom Holland's fine. He's not as zany as Peter Parker, but like, he's still doing a lot of Peter Parker mannerisms, especially like the way he acrobats at times. And Mark Wahlberg is just doing himself. But I would say, as someone who hasn't played the games, I actually had a lot of fun with this movie. It definitely has a lot of dumb moments, which were frustrating, but the 2 leads legitimately had chemistry together. They were fun and interesting puzzles. They're not the best puzzles, but like, I've seen a lot worse puzzles done, so like, I'll take it. The standout for me was definitely Sophia Ali. Like, she's gorgeous, obviously, so that's nice. But like, she had a lot of charm and charisma to the point of like, every time she was on screen, I'm like, yes, this is good, this is working for me. I was very disappointed with how nothing Antonio Banderas was in this movie. I didn't know he was in it, and I got super excited, but then he was just like, hardly in the movie. And his exit from the movie was not handled well. So yeah. So again, I'm a person who didn't play the game, but I knew one of my friends, Mike, has played the games a bunch. He says all of them at least 4 times each. And I remember him talking about this, so I asked him his opinion, and he despised this movie, with his main reason being the characters are just way off. Like, Nathan Drake is a lot funnier in the games, and none of that humor translated to the big screen at all. Mark Wahlberg's character is absolutely nothing like his character in the games. They added a bunch of new characters and then ignored really, really important characters, / didn't include them. And then like, the timeline of the movie doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't fit into the universe of the games. It's just kind of like a mishmash of some of the ideas from the games, but it's basically just an original idea. So yes, he really didn't care for it. So with this one, I would say if you've never played any of the games, it's pretty good and worth a watch. If you have played the games and haven't seen it yet, yet, oh my god, do not watch it. You are going to be so annoyed and so upset by everything. So yes, I enjoyed it. He didn't. And I think both of our opinions are valid. So yeah. And lastly is Monster Hunter. This is a 2020 film written and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson and starring his wife, Milla Jovovich. And the basic premise is Milla Jovovich plays this military person somewhere in the Middle East who somehow gets sucked into a different world where there's monsters and she has to survive. Okay, so this movie does two things well. First off, the monsters look incredible. Like, look at this. They're so cool. They put so much time and effort into making them look just incredible. It's amazing how well they look. This is what you do when you want something to look cool, is you put this much effort into it. Good job, movie, for putting a lot of effort into the most important thing of this movie, which is the monsters. So, good job. Secondly, the music. I'm not sure if it's music from the game, but it's decent music. It actually helped with emotional stuff at times. So again, hats off to the composer. Everything else is trash. This film was edited really bad. Like, they wanted to be like Bourne Identity and just make 1,000 cuts constantly, but it's not justified. It doesn't make any sense. It's just weird and doesn't elevate the action at all. It just feels completely off. It's like someone who's never edited before edited this movie. There's hardly any dialogue in this movie, which I'm fine with, because there's not a lot of dialogue in the games, but the dialogue that does exist is so bad. Like, I'm flabbergasted at how bad it is. It is a diverse cast, but it still feels kind of racist. Like, there's multiple hunters in the hunter world. We spend most of our time with one of them who doesn't speak English. He's trying to learn English. She doesn't make an effort for him. And I was fine with that, more or less. But then there's one other white person in the Monster Hunter world, played by Ron Perlman. And before he came on screen, I'm like, he's gonna be the only other person who speaks English, and it's just going to be for reasons. And I was 100% right. And even though that's not like overtly very racist, it just feels kind of gross and wrong. And you really didn't need it. We really didn't need it. He didn't really add anything. He was just kind of like, the tower is important. Let's go there and make a deal about stuff. And they really could have just struck a deal non-verbally with just stuff. She was able to communicate with the guy fine enough. Like, just keep doing that. Or really, we didn't need Milla Jovovich's character. Like, just have basically a silent movie and that would have been fine. So yeah, no, this movie's not good. The monsters look great, which is nice, but otherwise it's just trash. And like, it's not overtly anything really terrible. Like, it's not like they said the N-word a bunch of times, but it gives me such a strange, not good feeling. Like, it's like something bad's happening, but I can't place my finger on it type of thing. So yes, no, this movie is not good, and I do not recommend it. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, sitting number 98 in the quite-like section. And then not too terribly far behind is Uncharted, sitting number 105, also in the quite-like section. And then bringing up the rear, rightfully so, is Monster Hunter, sitting at number 191 in the didn't-like section. And these have a total of 204 old movies so far this year.